I've grinded out a lot of Starfield in the last few days, my poor sleep schedule. I think I like it, but I still need to let these thoughts cook. These are my first impressions of Starfield after a full 24 hours of game time. If you enjoy the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. I'm not sure I'll do a full review on Starfield. I might opt for streams and maybe some edited versions of those streams for the channel. This game is long. So I thought a first impressions video would be good for people that maybe don't have the game yet, or they're people hesitant to grab it and want to know more. Anyways, like usual, I won't spoil much. I'll keep most of the footage pretty early on, but sorry if something slips through. If you want to experience Starfield completely spoiler-free, this is your warning to step out now. Starfield is a Bethesda RPG through and through. That statement alone is probably enough to tell you whether or not you're going to like this game. It's got everything you'd expect from a Bethesda RPG. It's just got that feel, and if you played any of their games in the past, you know what I'm talking about. There's a comforting familiarity in Starfield. Making your character in the game is pretty standard, nothing super crazy about customization, it's typical. It's not a bad thing, I just wish the menus here weren't just a long line of options. It's kind of easy to get lost in it, but that's okay. There are a lot of backgrounds to choose from too, giving you 3 starting skills. There's a lot of variety in these, so it's easy to make a character focusing on the ones that interest you. Briefly, the story so far has probably been my favorite in any of their games. You find a rock, it makes you trip out, and then you join a group of people looking for more rocks. It doesn't sound that exciting, and it really isn't, but for me, that's what makes it so good. It's the mystery that makes it, and it's not some over-the-top, the world is gonna end in 35 seconds if you do not stop this evil group / monster / thing. At least not yet. It obviously could become that, but for now it's not, and I like that. It's always been weird to me in any open world or really any RPG in general when the stakes are so high. It really puts this awkward pacing into the narrative. Sure, it's a video game, but still, I really don't think I should be helping Cletus and Clyde find a shoe they left 3 towns over in a well in an ogre's lair when the almighty dragon has collected the 5 infinity stones and is about to kill everyone you know and love. Starfield at its core is about exploration, and the narrative supports that. The voice acting and writing is also pretty good. I wasn't expecting that, but it's a lot smarter and a lot funnier than I was ready for. The voice cast does an amazing job. It's still got some of that awkward jank like previous games, but there's actually life to these characters. Natural pauses, actual expressions, it doesn't sound like it's being read off a script, and just a diverse variety of accents really lends to the experience. Makes it fun to talk to people. Especially the companions of Starfield. The main bunch that's around you in my early game experience are incredibly interesting and unique characters. I get a kick out of all of them, especially when they start talking amongst themselves. Speaking of talking to people, I've been loving the little Persuasion minigame. I usually throw points in talking skills in games because they usually have some funny stuff, but in Starfield it actually has a mechanical benefit. Your goal is to get a select number of successes to win a person over in a set amount of turns. You choose between easier to succeed dialogue options that give you less points toward the conversation win, or riskier and easier to fail dialogue options that give you way more points. You can still pass and fail by chance and even get critical successes or failures. I really like this system. It's been a lot of fun. The combat in Starfield has been surprisingly fun. It's nothing crazy, don't go expecting the best shooter game of all time, but it's far better than it looked in the trailers. I didn't like the very small amount of melee I tried very much, but the variety and feel of various space guns is awesome. It actually feels like an FPS game or a third-person shooter if you choose to play that way. Some enemies can be a bit bullet spongy, but that's not that horrible thanks to the staggering of critical hits. It's slower maybe than I'd like, but it still feels like a shootout, and that's something I don't think a Bethesda RPG has really gotten right before. Starfield manages to make it work. Fighting some of the tankier critters is the only part of the combat that really feels the sponge. Luckily those are rare, so it's not too much of an issue, at least in the early game. Also, just to mention, the AI is not good. They get stuck on things and pretty much just stand in a single spot and shoot at you. They don't react too much to whatever's going on around them, maybe dodging a grenade, and that's a big maybe. The combat itself feels pretty good when you're playing it like a shootout, but if you rush around, you really start to see some of the flaws in it. You'll take a lot more damage, but I'm sure there are ways to mitigate that and completely break it considering how awkward the AI is. The leveling in Starfield has been great. Not only do you get your normal points to spend in the skill tree, but you also have to do challenges in order to level that skill up. I've primarily focused on pistols and persuasion. They're a really fun combo to me. To level up pistols, you have to take people out with pistols, pretty self-explanatory. For persuasion, you have to win some of those dialogue minigames. I like that it's not just level up, throw a point here or a point there. You actually have to use these skills to make them better. It adds mechanics to leveling, and it's not just a number you forget about. Space travel is obviously something I need to mention in case you're expecting a ton of space stuff. Flying your ship around and going crazy, exploring the vastness of it is not really something you can do in Starfield, especially early on. It's more about landing on planets and doing stuff there. Being in your ship is more of a loading screen and menu type of deal with the occasional dogfight in the stars. This is probably disappointing to a lot of people, especially considering lots of mechanics like changing around your energy to different aspects of your ships like weapons, your engine and shields, and then the shipbuilding, but it hasn't been used by me all that much. It's not a big deal to me. I have a preference for boots on the ground stuff over vehicle combat, but I can see why some would be a little underwhelmed by what you do get in space, especially when the story is about space exploration. I haven't really had a buggy experience with Starfield so far, which is another thing that surprised me. Of course, there are still goofy little things that happen, mainly my companions floating in the sky practicing riding a bicycle, but nothing game-breaking or too over the top. There was one where a guy floated up through the ceiling, that was pretty funny, but yeah, these have been rare. The only crash I experienced was during character creation. I was prepping myself for a nightmare, but it never happened again. But yeah, I was surprised considering past games and how much bigger Starfield is, so good stuff. Looting is really the only annoying thing that I've been dealing with in Starfield. First off, the menus are not great, and having to offload stuff onto my companion every room gets very tiring. You can throw stuff in your ship, you can make your companions carry them, but it just becomes a mess trying to find and sell or craft with what you've collected when it's scattered in so many menus. The actual loot in Starfield is pretty cool though, and I'm not a big looter in games. It's pretty easy to just look at something in front of you and know what to take and what not to take. I just wish I could actually carry it. I'm even being picky now with what I grab, but it's still an issue that I run into. That's my biggest gripe so far. The other gripe is that a lot of the side planets are just empty and boring. Not much to do other than a few locations to see. You have to walk to them and it takes forever. You're constantly running out of stamina and looking at nothing the whole way. I'm probably not going to do too many more of these little side planets if this keeps up, but there's enough elsewhere to make this not a huge issue. The graphics are definitely a major improvement over previous Bethesda RPG titles. They're not amazing, but they're fine. I'm not worried about the game's graphics personally. The game does have a few performance issues. It was hard to find the right settings to make it run well on my PC, but after I got it sorted out, it works pretty well. I really hope there are some fixes for this, but with Bethesda, not holding my breath. Overall, I'm enjoying my time in Starfield. It's not the best game of all time like some wanted it to be, but it's been a fun experience so far. It's got that Bethesda charm and plenty of improvements on past games. I can't wait to see where the main quest continues to take me, and I'm looking forward to more talk battles and shootouts. I think it's a game that has plenty there for Bethesda fans and even stuff there for newcomers. Just don't expect something jaw-dropping. It's fun first, technicalities second, and that's fine by me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about Starfield. Anyways, I'm out. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.